From celebrations of an import race win to shock. From victory on leg 6 to disaster. Dramatic scenes at the start of our final offshore leg. Yesterday, as leg 7 got underway, the final offshore challenge for all our teams before the trophy is awarded, our overall race leader, 11th Hour Racing Team and GUYOT Environment Team Europe collided during the first lap of the departure course.
Honestly, absolutely lost for words. We tacked on our ley line, sailing on starboard for 20, 30 seconds. Charlie was screaming starboard at GUYOT and they just didn't respond, clearly not looking or didn't see us or something, and the net result is they put their boat firmly in the side of ours, and the bowsprit actually went right through the boat and came out on the inside. So honestly, we're really, really lucky that nobody got hurt. Charlie was sitting just there in the hatch, so thankfully everyone's okay.
Welcome to the Ocean Race Show, where we have a lot to discuss today, a little under 24 hours into leg 7, our final point-scoring offshore leg. So let's wind the clock back and set the scene as our VO65 and IMOCA fleets were ready to begin. Both fleets are sailing the same course to Italy, but each started separately, with a battle for the VO65 sprint up first. Off the line, Viva Mexico had the advantage, heading off the pin with Team GUYOT and overall leader Wind Whisper Racing Team alongside. At the top of the course for the first time, Wind Whisper Racing Team led, but narrowly, with Team GUYOT hot on their heels and ready to pounce as the 3 other VO65s, only a few metres back, kept the pressure on the front runners. As we saw in the import race the day before, the home team, led by Jelmer van Beek, knew how to get the best out of our race course, and they were soon leading the fleet while heading out to sea.
Start day, nice ending with videos. There's so many people outside again. Oh, the day keeps amazing me, and first place, so good job.
Next, it was the turn of our IMOCA fleet, and while there was still 2,200 miles of racing to go, and a lot of that were going to determine the final scores, 11th Hour Racing Team were at the top of the overall leaderboard and went into this final leg full of confidence.
I think we are going to stick to our plan, which is to keep sailing the way we've been sailing aggressively and kind of making decisions that we think are right. And then we'll see where it kind of lies toward the end when, maybe we'll have the last transition. There's going to be a lot of different features of this race and no one's going to get them all right.
The battle for first was between 2 teams, 11th Hour Racing Team and Team Wholesome PRB. Benjamin Schwartz, in second place on the overall scoreboard, was the only boat that could catch 11th Hour Racing Team at this late stage. Off the start line, Team Wholesome PRB and 11th Hour Racing Team were fighting for the front, reaching to the first mark at over 20 knots. Behind them, Team Milizia was overtaken by GUYOT Environment Team Europe, who managed to close down on the leaders after the bottom reach. And because they had closed up with a strong mark rounding, they were now right in the mix. 11th Hour Racing Team tacked to sail towards the next mark, while GUYOT Environment Team Europe continued upwind. Now the 2 boats were on a collision course, with 11th Hour Racing Team on starboard tack and right of way, GUYOT Environment Team Europe crashing into them, striking the port side of the boat with their bow and punching a hole through the hull of the American team. An incredible moment to begin with this final leg, and that was what we could see at the time. But now we have the benefit of knowing what was actually going on board. This is the view of Marie Ross, the onboard reporter with 11th Hour Racing Team, there to capture the action of the racing and caught up in a dramatic moment.
And the GUYOT sees us.
Committee, this is 11th hour racing, informing you will be protesting GUYOT for a port starboard, over.
Ready? Keep tucking the boat, keep tucking the boat. Don't keel. Yeah, keel's coming.
She's been flat flagged. I don't know what this means for redress.
Dude, guys, we have a massive hole in our boat.
I know.
Let's just secure the boat, okay? Yeah. Let's pile it on, please. Yeah, pilot's on. Keel's coming up. Let's shoot the jib on. Yeah. Everything else is safe. Stop it. Make sure the rig's safe. Yeah, let's go run around. Okay, let's furl, okay? We're gonna tap and furl, okay? I don't think so. The engine's not sealed, right? So let's get engine on next. Let's make sure all the lines are clear. Make sure all the lines are clear. All the lines are clear, okay? Okay, let's get engine on. Yes.
From what we know now, looking at the footage and hearing the reactions from the sailors, it's fairly clear cut. This is a port starboard incident. We've got 11th hour racing team going upwind with the wind coming over the right-hand side of the boat. That puts them on starboard tack. And GUYOT Environment Team Europe with the wind coming over their left. If you are on starboard, you have right of way. Doesn't mean you can do anything you like. You can't cause a collision, but if you hold a straight, steady course on starboard, everybody on port should be getting out of your way, either going behind or tacking to avoid. And it appears that GUYOT Environment Team Europe simply could not see 11th hour racing team underneath their jib. This is an IMOCA problem, but it's a sailboat problem as well. If you've been out there on any kind of dinghy or large yacht, as soon as you are going upwind and you position yourself at the windward side, at the back as the helm, you cannot see through the sails. And for our IMOCAs, it's exactly the same as any other yacht. So for our sailors, we know there's a blind spot. The problem for our teams is they need to be aware of it, and often they are. What happened here? Well, we're going to have to wait to find out. But after the moment of the collision, once they gathered their thoughts and made sure everyone was safe, the two IMOCAs made their way to the dock, with 11th hour racing team arriving first.
The impact was forceful. We're very lucky that everybody's okay. It's pretty unclear right now, the state of the boat and what the next steps are. We protested them on the water. They were black flagged. That should take care of the racing rules and sailing portion of this incident. We suspended racing. We marked our track. We've come back to the dock to assess exactly what's happened, and now we're just waiting on next steps.
Next ashore was GUYOT Environment Team Europe, and their team was there waiting for them, ready to offer support to the sailors for what was surely a very emotional moment. Benjamin Dutroux looked drained. However, as soon as the boat was secured on the dock, Ben headed past his friends, past his colleagues and the shore crew to his team manager and straight towards the other boat. Clearly, in the Frenchman's mind, there was a responsibility to talk to 11th hour racing team, check the crew were okay, and apologise, no matter how uncomfortable and difficult it might be.
Thank you, Ben. You saw us or not?
Sorry?
Did you see us?
The last time, just in front of the jib. I'm so sorry, if we can do something, you know.
Slow down. Slow down. Everybody's on your boat is okay? Yeah, everybody's okay. I think Charlie's hand is, he's
we're
fine.
going to gather our team there.
Yeah.
Sorry?
We're going to get our team together at 7:30. We're going to gather and make a plan.
Yeah?
So then if we need anything after 7:30, we'll let you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So we get together, we make a plan of what we'll do,
For sure.
and we'll come and
For
find
sure,
you
no
if we need any
problem.
resources.
No problem. We do what you want.
That'll be when we give you some knowledge.
So, Mark?
Yes, Ben.
The plan now is to they can come back, or they need to have road race? What we need to do now?
We will assess. I think right now we just stabilize the situation. We'll get our team together. We'll get our tech guys onto it and see what can be done. But I think obviously the most important is that everybody's okay, which is good. The boat's back at the dock, and now we just need to see what the next step is. Yeah. I have no idea. My team is working on it. But, yeah. They black flag on the water?
Yeah.
Okay. And your boat? What's the bowsprit?
The bowsprit on the front.
On the crash bow? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a ballast or?
No. No, it's the ballast is in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll get the boat builders onto it.
Hi. When necessary, I have the possibility to get a crane here in 2 hours. Then you must tell me.
Okay.
This is not a situation that anybody wanted. Not GUYOT Environment Team Europe, who are so happy to be back into the race after 11th Hour Racing Team allowed them to use their spare mast. It's not what 11th Hour Racing Team want either. They wanted to win this race on the water, finishing the last leg. And it's not what Team Wholesome PRB wanted either. They were looking forward to the opportunity of taking the battle right down to the line against the Americans. For the Swiss, they are racing, out on the water far from the drama on shore, along with Biotherm and Team Militia. And for these three boats, it's been a long and difficult night of hard work heading southwest. Between the English coast and the exclusion zones, there wasn't much room. And with the wind shifting directly behind their course, the three IMOCAs had no choice but to spend the early hours of the morning jibing their way through the channel. Team Wholesome PRB was still in the lead, but the others were close behind, just a few miles separating the fleet.
The sun came out really quickly.
For Paul Mayer, the first 24 hours have been intense, but they are well in the mix right behind the leaders. It's the same story on the VO65 fleet, close racing all the way through the narrow racetrack. Wind Whisper Racing Team took their customary position at the front of the pack, but the other boats were no more than 5 miles back, and it was hard for the overall race leader to keep everyone locked down. But for the most part, everyone followed the Polish boat, which made it easier for Wind Whisper Racing Team to stay in front, while those at the back looked for their opportunities.
The breeze is pretty light. A couple of jibes. We have to go through Calais and Dover. Current's going to be against us. And at the moment we're at the back of the pack, which means we have to attack a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be busy, I think.
And the aggression was to split. While the others sailed further northwest, the Austrians jibed south. Maybe into better wind, perhaps to catch the changing tide, or maybe just to try their luck. This move could come to nothing, but it's a chance for the Austrians and the first time that someone has tested the confidence of Wind Whisper Racing Team's tactics on this leg. Meanwhile, ashore, during the night, morning and into today, 11th Hour Racing Team and GUYOT Environment Team Europe continue to work through the problems.
The GUYOT guys came up to us on the dock. They were incredibly apologetic. I don't, know exactly what happened on their boat, but regardless, I think they're really heartfelt emotions from them, and they demonstrated good sportsmanship this afternoon, and I hope that everybody keeps that in mind as they reflect on the situation holistically.
For 11th Hour Racing Team, they went into this leg needing to finish no worse than third in order to win overall. It wasn't a certainty, but with their past performance, winning the last 3 offshore legs, they were feeling pretty confident. But now, what are their options? What is the process? And what is available to them at this time? Well, I spoke to the Ocean Race Officer, Bill O'Hara, to get some idea.
In sailing, in any situation where you get damaged or injured, or an injury on board because another boat should have kept clear actions, you're entitled to ask for redress. To get redress, you have to prove that you lost places, that it was no fault of your own. And the process is that you file a hearing request for redress. So 11th Hour, I assume, will do that in the next couple of hours. and then the jury will decide when to have the hearing. The jury left the venue yesterday, and it won't reconvene again until next week. So, week after next. So it'll probably be Genova when we have the hearing, unless we get asked to accelerate that timetable.
For Charlie Enright and his team, they will be working on all their available possibilities. From patching up the boat and sailing it to Genova, from bringing it round by road, and everything in between. But the one thing that won't be considered is giving up. Nobody on that boat is even going to entertain that possibility. But as to exactly what their next move is going to be, we will have to wait and find out. We have got a crew on the ground in The Hague following the team, and they're going to be bringing us all the news. And today, they are releasing a really in-depth look at the moment on the water and what ramifications that will have for the sailors. Be sure to check that one out. And with so much going on in this final leg, we're going to be back tomorrow with another Ocean Race show where we'll be talking to the sailors and trying to understand exactly what this all means for the race. We'll see you then.
I hope you will win this freaking race.
So do we.
You're a fucking great team, you have done a fucking great job.
The story is not over. It's not over. It's just one chapter. Towards the end. It's okay, bud. It's okay. We'll get there. I was a lot like you an hour ago.